Salute and welcome to the Stories and Cocktails podcast, where you will enjoy an entertaining short story from acclaimed humor columnist Rob Kreider. Story time is the family portion of the show. Then we move on from the stories to the cocktails. This is where the alcohol and the not safe for work portion of the show takes over, as Rob and his wife /editor /muse Sara Kreider are taking some adult beverages and provide you with a behind the scenes recap of what really inspired the original story. Put your feet up, relax, and enjoy yourself a round of stories and cocktails. Cheers.
This article's called Clean Your Room by Rob Kreider. Hey, that's me. I love my kids. I especially love them when they're playing together and leaving me alone. Hey, don't get the wrong idea. I'm not a bad dad. I just want 5 precious minutes to talk to my wife without being interrupted by, Dad, I want some juice. In order to obtain the allotted 5 minutes of my own time, I have purchased piles and piles of toys for my kids to play with. These toys are generally played with for the agreed upon amount of 5 minutes, and then they are abandoned on the floor for my wife and I to either pick up or trip on. My theory on spoiling my kids with toys so I can be alone has backfired. I don't use my precious 5 minutes to read the newspaper or sit in the recliner. Instead, I use my 5 minutes to pick up the toys. When I first start picking up the toys, the goal is to keep the entire house clean. That is plan A. I usually skip that and go to plan B, which is to go ahead and throw the toys into the kids' closets and clean those closets later. Plan C is to at least throw the toys into the kids' rooms, shut their bedroom doors, and ignore the problem. Plan D is to kick the toys into a corner and then make a path from the couch to the bathroom. It doesn't take me long to get to Plan E. Plan E is to burn the house to the ground, collect the insurance, and free ourselves from materialistic evil. It's not like I enjoy living in a house that looks like a pigsty. It's just that my kids, flat out, refuse to put their toys away. I ask them to clean up, but they act as if picking up their toys would kill them. Dad, can we get out the train set? Sure, but after you clean your room. This is when my children go into this battlefield wounded soldier routine. They act as if they just took a bullet to the chest. They get short of breath and so tired they can't lift a finger to help pick up a single Lego. Dad, I can't. No energy. Can't go on. My tummy hurts. Go play trains. Without me. Trains. This is a sore subject at our house. And when I say sore, I'm speaking literally of my sore foot. My son has 100,000 miles of scale train track. This may sound like toy train bliss, but what it really is a big mess of small pieces scattered over an entire bedroom. There is no safe harbor for any bare foot. One step in my child's bedroom can land you in a hospital room instead. For unknown reasons, toys are equipped with small pieces which are carefully designed to pierce the nerves of a human foot. One wrong step could be deadly. You could fall and then end up with a Pokemon stuck in your throat. My daughter's room isn't any safer. She doesn't have any trains, but she has lots of toy kitchen utensils. Toys are so realistic these days that when I can't find any clean dishes, I'll go into her room for a bowl or a cup. Last year, I think I cut the turkey with one of her toy knives. These, quote, toy utensils are 100% of the time on the floor directly in front of the bedroom door. How they get there is unknown. At night, I put my daughter to bed inside her crib, and the floor is clean. My daughter cannot get out of her crib by herself. Yet at 2 a.m, when my daughter is fussing, I'll walk half asleep into the dark room, only to nail a toy right in the soft spot of my foot. I fall to the floor, cursing Fisher-Price, and usually land on another toy, activating it, and it begins to sing a happy, annoying nursery rhyme song, very loud and for an incredibly long time. This noise scares my daughter, and she won't go back to sleep. So there I am, 2 a.m, broken foot, screaming baby, good times. My kids, they just won't clean up. I've threatened to throw their toys in the trash if they don't help put them away, and they call my bluff and say, throw them away, Dad. I've tried everything. Bribery, therapy, the hand creams. Nothing works. I'm done trying. I think I'm going to just sit on the couch and let the toys slowly build up around me. And I won't even care, as long as the toys don't block the television. By the way, I'm going to start my own shoe company, the Skechers Parents Sleep Tight line.
Okay, folks, it's time to pop that top and let's get to those cocktails.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Stories and Cocktails. Coming to you live on tape from Ventura, California, by the beach. We are in RV Tiki. Very excited to be here. First time for us camping in beautiful Ventura. It's not as beautiful as we hoped it would be because it's a little overcast and windy, but, I'm not going to hate the player, hate the game, right?
I don't mind the overcast because remember we came from 110 in Fresno, but the wind I could do without.
So we decided to do is stay in the RV, get drunk,
Yeah.
do an episode.
I asked a local, like, hey, what's with this wind? Like, can we expect it every afternoon? Will tomorrow be clear? And he just said, it depends on the ocean. And I was like, oh, okay.
Should understand the complexities of global ocean currents and understand how all that affects the climate.
Yeah. So I guess if you live in Ventura, you never know what the ocean is going to decide. I'm like, okay, well,
I kind of actually dig that sort of mindset. It's like, hey, man, you got to go with the flow. You got to ride the wave where it takes you.
We live where the weather is very, very, very dependable. From June.
Dependably shitty.
Yeah. From June 15th to October 15th, it's going to be high 90s to high 100 and teens. You can predict it, but you don't want to be in it.
In my hometown, I know that August 7th, my left nut will be stuck to my thigh.
Mm-hmm.
But in Ventura, it could be up high. My balls can be really up high because it's a little chilly by the ocean.
Yeah, no, in Fresno, I know that my boobs are going to stick to my rib cage because it's just sweaty. I'm just going to have under boob sweat. Yeah, it's like a real thing. Where in Ventura, the wind will come through and mess up my hair or it won't. We don't know. Depends on the ocean.
I understand boob sweat and nut fall. I don't understand the ocean tells you. So we just got to get used to the barometer here.
Exactly.
How they measure it, right? Okay.
They're very casual about it.
Yes, I like it. So I am drinking a camping coffee. Would you tell the folks what is in this camping coffee?
It's decaf coffee because you're not an addict.
Right.
It's sugar-free chocolate milk powder, cocoa, sugar-free cocoa. Jesus,
I'm not a diabetic.
Words are hard. And then Bailey's.
Because I'm an alcoholic.
Because you're an alcoholic.
So not an addict, not a diabetic, but I am an alcoholic.
Oh, nicely done.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a not.
These are the things I identify with.
It's a not yes.
And what are you rocking?
Ramosa, which is a little orange juice, a little water because I don't like it too orange juicy. Some Captain, accidentally more Captain than I wanted today.
I saw that.
It's some Malibu.
When I watched you be the bartendress, I watched you spill shit everywhere, and I thought to myself, it's not even noon yet. It's like 10 something, and you're fucking spilling drinks like it's the 7th drink you've been making for the day. A little rough this morning. What's going on?
I don't know, dude.
Let's get to the real story today. This story is called Clean Your Room, published April 11th, 2002 in the Santa Maria Sun. This is over 20 years old, about our children. So you estimated after we read the story that our kids were 5 and 3 at the time.
Based on the date, I just turned 5 and then not quite 3.
And I was thinking they were a little older listening to the story because I'm like, did we really fucking spoil these kids this much at this age? Did we shove this many toys in their faces? We definitely did.
Probably.
100%.
Yeah.
We fucking
Well, okay. It wasn't just us, though. I mean, these kids, we had our kids relatively young.
We were young for our generation.
In today's day and age. So when they were 5 and 3, they still had 4 of their biological grandparents, plus a couple step grandparents, plus they still had
great grandparents.
Yeah, they still had 6 great grandparents or something like that. And they were the only ones.
And they had the young aunts and uncles who thought it was fun. So just gifts were coming.
They were the only grandkids on both sides. They were the only great grandkids on both sides. And I mean, at that point, even cousins were like aunties and uncles to them.
Yep.
And yeah, they were spoiled rotten. We had toys fucking everywhere.
Up the wazoo.
Up the wazoo. So this one's later because she wasn't 2.5 with Barbies. She was maybe 6 or 7. This comes to mind right now because the Barbie movie is crazy.
Just sold $1 billion of the tickets.
Yeah. She has all these Barbies. A couple things about Barbie. Barbie comes with high heel shoes. She would come with earrings. She would come with her own hairbrush. She would come with a purse. These were all little tiny pieces of plastic that never stayed on her body and always ended up in the vacuum. So at Christmas time, I don't know if you remember me doing this or not.
You would take it away.
Oh, yeah, no. So she would come and she would be like, can you open this package for me? Because they also come packaged, better packaging than how we probably ship nuclear bombs. You know, you have to get the power saw out of the garage just to open up the goddamn plastic, and then everything is rubber band in. So I would pull the doll out and I would give her the doll, and then everything else, all of Barbie's accessories, they just went in the trash. So she just had barefoot Barbies, purseless Barbies, no earrings Barbies. So Addie has all these goddamn Barbies, and they were stored in this big plastic bin. We just threw them in this big
toy box.
Yeah, big plastic bin. So one day I've had it. I did what you said in the story. I threatened to throw it away. You clean up your Barbies or I'm throwing them away. I think we talked about it before. We love her very, very, very much. And she's grown up to be a great adult. But god damn, she was a bitch. She was such a bitch. She just looks at me. I don't know, 6 years old. Throw them away. I'm done playing with them. No.
This was one of those situations. I was walking by in the hallway and I heard you guys engage. I grabbed Gus. I'm like, bro, let's get the fuck out of here. Like, Mom and Addie are about to go to war. We don't want to have anything to do with it. We don't want to be here for it. I don't have to testify later as to what happened. Let's just get the fuck out of here. So we just got a Slurpee. We just bounced.
Of course. Your powers of invisibility. Amazing. So I tell her, like, hey, if you don't put these away in the next 30 minutes, I'm throwing them away. Throw them away, Mommy. I'm done with them. And I'm like, no, I mean it. I mean it. I will throw these Barbies away. You will not have any Barbies to play with. She's like, good. I don't want to play with Barbie anymore. Then this bitch, she starts picking up the Barbies so that I can throw them away. Now, I only want her to pick them up. She starts doing what I want her to do. But the entire time, she's just like, here, throw this one away. Throw this one away. And she's literally putting them in the big plastic bin. So now she's cleaned up her Barbies and she's still just looking at me all, I don't know, what are you when you're 6 years old? Like, she's only like freaking 5'0" right now. So, I mean, all 2 feet of her or whatever she was. She's just all attitude, standing over this plastic bin of Barbies that she has now cleaned up. And she's just like, take them out to the garbage. I'll do it. I'll do it. And she's like, okay, let's go. So I pick it up and I start to carry it out to the garage because I'm not throwing away a couple $100 worth of Barbie. You know what I mean? Oh, shit. Who knows? They might make a Barbie movie in 2023.
It's just worth like at least $15 at some point.
I mean, eBay is going to be invented and I'm going to fucking sell these Barbies. These shoeless, purseless, earringless fucking Barbies.
None of the fucking accessories.
So I'm carrying it out to the garage because I'm going to put it in the garage. I'm not really going to throw it away. And I don't know what I'm going to tell her later when I give them back to her. I haven't thought that far, but I'm not throwing them away. So she's following me and she's just like, throw them away. Throw them away. So I get to the garage and I start to put it down. And she's like, not the garage, Mommy, the trash.
Dude, she was scary.
Oh my God.
She was so fucking scary.
She was so fucking scary.
That's why I left. I was like, nah, I'm not doing this.
I mean, like you tell people, like, don't ask questions you don't want to know the answers to. Like, that's when I learned in parenting, like, do not
call a bluff.
Threaten something that you're not willing to go through
because she
with.
called your bluff like a motherfucker.
Now I'm in there threatening and she's calling my bluff.
Yep.
You took a different approach. Your bluff was also called.
Well, I was more positive. I wasn't trying to punish the kids. I was trying to encourage the kids. So I told my son, hey man, if you keep your room clean for 1 year, I'll buy you a car.
No, it wasn't 1 year. It was like, if you keep your room clean until you turn 16, I'll buy you a car. It wasn't even 1 year. It was insane. Like, I never thought in a million years he would do it. He was like 10 years old. And you're like, on your 16th birthday, if your room has been clean since this day, I'll buy you a brand new car.
He did it.
Yeah.
He had a pigsty room full of train sets. Then one day, he didn't.
Yeah.
He was extremely organized. Room was clean like a surgical center. And he got a Mustang when he fucking turned 16.
Actually, though, I look back on it and I think it's kind of sad. Like, he didn't, it's not like he got super organized and started cleaning his room. He just stopped playing with his toys.
Yeah, he's I can't get that train set out. Goddamn, I won't get a car.
Yeah. The Legos got put away and they just didn't come back
out again. Yeah.
Maybe he wasn't 10. Maybe he was 12. I mean, maybe he was in that. We're going to put a positive spin on it because it makes me too sad otherwise. I keep thinking about Andy and Toy Story. You know what I mean? Like outgrowing his toys. Maybe he was at that point where he was kind of bored and done with his toys anyways. Just landed perfect timing.
Yeah, he's in that age where he's transferring from toys, video games, whatever it is, or sports. And, so yeah, that's about the right age. And so I guess it worked out. So that was, that worked. His room was super clean.
His room was clean.
We did have a Toy Story that was not as cool. We got the Sleep and Snore Ernie for our kids. This was the It toy back in the day. Now, we couldn't afford like the Tickle Me Elmo because that was like, you had to stand in line at friggin' Toys R Us for like 6 days to get the goddamn thing and pay a bunch of money. We could never pull that off.
This was pre-Amazon, pre-Walmart.com.
Yeah. You had to actually you had to go out Black Friday and fucking do the shit.
Yeah, you had to go out at like 4 a.m.
Yeah, running around town trying to get a Tickle Me Elmo. And so we didn't do that. And now we decided like Tickle Me Elmo, like maybe not as appropriate, right? Maybe it's like hey, maybe don't touch me Elmo. Like, maybe just nod from afar and wave at me Elmo. Don't even pat me on the head. Don't touch. Yeah, get in my safe space.
Get out of my safe space. Get out of my personal space, Elmo.
Back then they were like, yeah, Tickle Me Elmo. You touch him, he doesn't be touched. He laughs his ass off. It's hilarious. Fucking part of rape culture. But ultimately, we didn't have Tickle Me Elmo. We had Sleep and Snore Ernie.
All these fucking crazy ass people right now are just like, oh, they're grooming. They're like all blaming the teachers. Oh, you're grooming our kids. All you fuckers. You remember Tickle Me Elmo. That is grooming. I'm teaching them fucking math.
Super far right now is blaming Sesame Street for all kinds of shit. Like,
oh, are they really?
Oh, yeah. They say that Elmo was gay and Bert and Ernie were gay and everybody's gay and you made our kids gay. I'm just like, they taught them about the letter E in this fucking number 6. That's what they fucking taught them. They didn't teach them to be gay.
The count told them how to count.
Exactly. He didn't teach them how to suck dicks. He taught them how to count. For God's sakes.
Find me the Sesame Street hate sketch where the count is 1 dicks, 2 dicks.
I suck 3 dicks, 4 dicks. Dick.
Then I'll get on board with Sesame Street.
So we had the sleep and snore Ernie. And so basically he was this little Ernie in a bed and he would like snore and sleep or whatever. The problem was is that when these fucking batteries would die on these toys, they would just turn on.
You say when the
middle of
batteries
the night.
die. I say the problem was when these fucking demons inhabited the bodies of these toys.
Well, that's true. It was like a Chucky situation. The thing is these motherfuckers will, it's like 2:30 in the morning. Your house is so quiet.
Dead asleep. And all of a sudden you just hear this maniacal fucking Muppet voice coming out of your kid's bedroom. Let's go to sleep. You're just like, holy shit. Well, and at first you just know something woke you up. You really can't identify what it was. You just know, like, fuck, did you hear that? And now you're like awake and alert. Like, did I just hear a window break?
Yeah, is someone gonna steal our children?
Yeah. And then you wait a couple minutes and then you can identify it as like a demon laughing from your children's bedroom. And you're just like, oh shit.
I remember I ran in and
Plus you and I are of the Chucky generation.
Oh yeah, no. And we're also part of the satanic panic. And everybody's kids were fucking abducted and murdered when we were children. Like, so just like all this stuff's gonna happen. I remember running in there and the thing is making noise on the floor of our kid's bedroom. Our kid was asleep, he threw it, luckily. And I thought to myself, okay, it's probably dead batteries. I'm a pretty pragmatic kind of guy. What scared me was I was like, if I turn this fucker over to take the batteries out of it and there's already no batteries in it, I'm going to burn this motherfucker in the backyard.
Or once I take the batteries out and I go lay back down in my bed, if I hear it then.
Now, that would be the best prank ever. You take the batteries out and then Gus puts them back in and fucking starts making the noises and shit. And then I'm like, come in with a fucking gun. You know what I mean? I put 16 rounds into fucking Sleeping Sore Ernie.
I think you actually said that to me. And and we had guns. You had a gun for your job.
Yeah, I was a highway patrolman.
But we never really talked about it, or we're not a gun family. But I do think you came back to bed and you're like, if we hear that thing again, I'm putting 3 rounds in it.
Oh, yeah, dude. I'm going to get my Glock and go check out my son. No, this is why guns in the house are not safe. No one needs to run in their children's room with a fucking loaded gun
and shoot
checking
Sleep
and Snore Ernie. That's how people get fucking shot.
So,
Sleep and Snore Ernie scared the fuck out of me. We later had a Buzz Lightyear that did the same thing.
Yeah. We left him out in the rain. Now, he wasn't as scary because he was in the backyard and the door was locked, but we did hear from the backyard, buzz, 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 Lightyear.
Well, that's what was so scary is that, in the film, they do that. During Toy Story, it's like, buzz, 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 Lightyear. And like suddenly like, oh my God, our Buzz is in the backyard. He's like, dude, let me in the fucking rain. I'm fucking rusting out here. I'm dying.
He didn't have the same.
Please.
Yeah, he didn't have the same buzz. It was like energy.
Burr. Burr. Lightyear. Please put me out of my fucking misery. Same thing. I'm like, that thing better have batteries in it. It better have fucking batteries in it.
I think we just left that one out in the rain. I think we just double checked the locks on the door. And
we're like, he'll be fine.
Yeah, we'll figure it out in the morning.
Exactly. I said, in the morning, if he's still out there, whatever.
In the light of day, we'll figure this out. We'll teach the kids, don't leave your battery-operated toys out in the rain.
That's what happens when you leave.
This is what happens when you leave Buzz Lightyear out in the rain.
Exactly. Yeah, our kids' toys, they were slobs. We spoiled the shit out of them. I blame us for all of it. But I will say, there were some moments, though, where I have walked in and just parked a Lego in that sweet, meaty part of your foot. And, you don't want to cuss around your children. I mean, I didn't say fuck in front of my son until he was at least 6-7 days old. So basically, you can't help it. You put a Lego in that meaty part of your foot, you're screaming every curse word.
Oh, yeah.
You're just like, fucking cunt!
What's a real mystery or conundrum is our kids ran up and down that same fucking hallway that we did. It was like little Lego landmines. I couldn't do it. You know what I mean? I was just like, hey, you're gonna bleed out in your bedroom. I'm not gonna save you because I'm not going down this Lego landmine hallway thing. They ran up and down that hallway every single time, never hit a Lego. I mean, I never heard a 3-year-old Addie go like, like, you fucking cunt, bitch, stepped on a Lego. I never heard a little 5-year-old Gus, like, God damn it, these fucking Legos.
Well, I don't remember ever doing that as a kid. I don't remember ever hurting myself in Legos as a kid.
I mean, as a kid, I guess you have like a special avoidance power.
Well, you're a little ninja. You're just like bouncing around.
Your feet are smaller, so...
You also know where you put them all. So
That's
you're like,
true.
I put my Legos
you're
there.
closer to the ground, so your eyesight is better.
It's all good.
You get a better view of it.
You come walking in, oh, fucking cunt, son of a bitch, cocksucker, piece of shit, fucking bullshit.
Hurts like hell, man.
Sleeping snoring. He's like, hey, what are we doing here? He's a fucking kid. What are you doing? Don't cuss in front of the kids.
Oh, Legos were the worst.
They were.
Yeah, you put trains in the story, but it's Legos.
Well, the trains were those things where, because we didn't really talk about the story, but Gus was a Thomas the Tank Engine aficionado. He loved Thomas the Tank Engine.
Oh, yeah.
And he had tons and tons and tons of that, all covered in lead paint, we found out later. That all that Thomas the Tank Engine shit was recalled.
Oh,
we
yeah.
have a box of it. So of all the things our kids owned, we kept all the Thomas because we thought this is a pretty good toy. But then now I'm like, it's just a box full of lead.
Yeah, now we have to see. Not all of them, but we don't know which ones. So we'd actually, before we could like give it to like our grandkids to play
Just
with.
assume the best
we'd have
ones
to take them to like
are
a lab.
lead. I'm like, this one looks brand new. That's covered in lead. That's why it looks
lead.
brand.
That's the shiny lead paint
That's
one.
the shiny lead.
Yeah.
paint.
No,
So, yeah.
my dad worked, his whole life. My whole life, it was raised by a train man.
He worked for.
My dad worked for Southern Pacific, and then later there was some kind of merger, whatever, Union Pacific. But my dad was a train man. I never knew anything about trains. I never knew what my fucking dad did. Like, I mean, I knew what a train looked like, but that's about it. Like, I don't know if he didn't talk about it or I didn't ask or whatever.
I think you just didn't care.
All of a sudden, Gus is like 4 and he's like setting up Thomas even now I don't know. I can't even tell the story correctly because I don't know. But he's like using words.
He's like, this is a diesel engine. This is a steam engine.
Oh,
this
yeah.
Is
This is the roundabout. And he's like showing me like how they switch tracks. And, and he's looking at me and he's like, Grandpa was a switchman. This is what Grandpa did. And he's explaining it to me. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, how are you, little 4-year-old, going to fucking tell me what my dad does for a living?
But I knew more about your dad's job than you did too. Like, I knew your dad for 10 minutes. I knew what your dad did, what his job was. And then I'm like, oh, your dad does. You're like, how do you know what my dad does? I'm like, I talked to the man. Told me.
So I don't know.
I was interested in what he was doing.
I just like the shittiest
You were just a shitty fucking daughter. Like, what do I give a fuck what my dad does? Dad, can I go to the mall? Buy me some jeans.
I do remember, I should put my mom on blast for this right now. Probably 5 different times when I was growing up. I can remember my dad saying, my dad worked nights. So we'd be sitting there eating breakfast cereal and my dad's having a tall can because that was like the end of shift. He comes home, we eat breakfast, he has a tall boy, he goes to bed, we go to school, whatever. But I can remember.
That's fucking parenting in the 80s, dude.
Oh,
Morning, kids. I'm having a tall can of Bud Light. Enjoy your fucking Captain Crunch.
It made sense at 6 p.m. for those dads. It made sense at, 8 a.m. for my dad. Anyways, I can remember him saying to my mom, the circus train is coming tonight. Like, do you want to bring the kids over and watch the circus train unload?
Do you
want
to see animals in cages?
Yeah, I mean, he didn't say that. Like, this was the 80s.
He's like, it's Dumbo. He wants to see Dumbo.
Yeah, no, this was the 80s. We weren't so, aware of
animal cruelty,
suffering, animal cruelty.
They like riding the train.
Exactly.
They don't want to run through the jungle. They want to be in a shitty train, in a train yard.
How exciting for them. They got to ride the train.
I'm like,
all
oh my
the way to
God,
Fresno.
can I see a train and a fucking tiger? Can we please go? It's going to be 7 minutes from the house. Your mom's like, nah.
No, that's the thing, is that I can remember like 4 or 5 different times my dad being excited. Tonight is the night that the circus train gets unloaded. Like, it's exciting. The kids will like it. So he's like, hey, Wendy, do you want to bring the kids over to the train yard tonight? Besides the circus train, do you just ever want to bring the kids to the train yard so they can see where their dad works? Like,
plus, your dad was being smart. He's like, look, we're not going to take these kids to the circus. So just come over and watch this shit at free at work. Because I'm not going to fucking buy a circus ticket.
And my mom was always just like, no, that's too far. I'm not going to that side of town. I'm not going over there. So I grew up thinking that my dad had like a 3-hour commute to work. I really did. Because my mom was just like,
You can't possibly go all that far.
We can't go that far.
That's in Colorado. I think he works in Colorado.
Yeah. No, I really did. I was just like, oh my God, like, okay, Dad, like, drive safely, 3 hours. Round trip.
See you tomorrow with that tall can.
Yeah. And then later, you and we move to Fresno and we buy our first house.
And Dad even says, this is right down where I work.
Yeah. I had no fucking idea. And then we even lived in that house for like, 5 years. And I still didn't know. And then I start going to work myself. And my path to work, I go right by the train yard. I'm driving one day. I'm literally 6 minutes from where we live. And I'm like, oh, shit, this isn't Colorado. Dad, you work right here?
You actually saw his truck parked. He's drinking a tall can, smoking a cigarette.
Oh, yeah. Not a tall can, but he got in trouble because I started passing by the train yard every single day on my way to work. And he was supposedly had quit smoking. And then one morning, I'm driving to work and I see him out by his truck, standing next to his truck.
He did quit smoking. He quit smoking at the house.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, what the fuck? Dad.
He's like, listen, you little bitch. You didn't even care about my life or where I work or anything. And now you're going to come out here and bust my balls about smoking a cigarette? For God's sakes. You've never even gave a shit about me.
So then I had to call my mom and tell on him. I'm like, first of all, Mom, do you know how close Dad works to where we
Oh, I could have saw
yeah.
Dumbo.
Like, he's not working Colorado. And second of all, he was smoking a cigarette this morning.
Damn, dude. So fucked up. All right, now that we've nailed down the fact that you're a narc, I think we'll end this show on that.
Oh, yeah.
Cheers. Sarah is a big narc.
It's a big narc.
Cheers.
Hold on, everybody. It's not last call yet. We have another story on this episode. Excuse me, ma'am. Can I get another round?
Hey friends, I wanted to take the time to thank each and every one of you for listening to our stupid little drunk show, especially those who were kind enough to go on Venmo and throw a couple bucks our way to buy us a round of drinks at Stories and Cocktails. And if you want to help out the show, subscribe, like, and comment on whatever streaming platform you use, or all of them. Jesus, I sound like a 12-year-old YouTuber. And if you do buy us a round of cocktails, I promise we will put those drinks to good use and give you a shout out on a future episode. All right, thanks folks, let's get back to the shit show.
Okay, folks, we have one drink down the gullet, which means we need to get our next one on deck. Time to enjoy the second story. Bartender!
This article is called Gas in the Tank by Rob Kreider. Hey, that's me. I have recently learned that not all of society is hip to the following fact. Unless you're driving a Tesla, most cars need this thing called gasoline to get from point A to point B. It turns out filling your car with petroleum is not optional. Gas is very much a requirement for any sort of mobility. And even though this fact is essentially a non-debatable element of life, cars need gas to go, to this day, my wife, whom I love, still isn't totally convinced. In her defense, she does drive her car beyond the empty marker on the gas gauge all of the time, and yet her car keeps running. My wife, I assume, thinks her car runs on magic rainbows and butterflies. Who can blame her? Her gas gauge has been lying to her for years. I blame the auto manufacturers. They were the geniuses that installed gas gauges that read E for empty, but still have more gas in the tank. Gas gauges essentially have lied to my wife for so long it has taught her to ignore the gauge altogether. Empty doesn't mean totally empty, a detail my wife likes to prove to herself over and over again by driving a little farther and farther with the gas light on each week. I think she's of the opinion that the gas gauge is like a clock. As the little hand keeps going further past E, eventually it'll just go all the way around back to F again. Then the tank will be full, just like magic. But it isn't magic that fills the tank to full again. It's me. I'm the one taking the car to the gas station late at night to fill it up. I'm the one who's ensuring my wife doesn't run out of gas in the fast lane on the freeway at night. I don't want anything bad to happen to her. Not just because I love her, but because we don't have any life insurance on her. Now, my wife has assisted me in being the one to fill her car up by perfecting the art of finding a reason for me to drive her car at the exact moment it is completely out of gas. She'll say, "Honey, can you drive my car? I think there's a noise you need to hear." I'll ask, "What is it?" She says, "I don't know. You're the race car guy. You drive it." I ask her to be more specific. "When does it make the noise? Can you describe it?" Then she'll tell me, "Just take it for a drive. And while you're out, pick up some ice cream." Now she has my attention. Ice cream? Sure. Where are your keys at? As soon as I get behind the wheel, I realize that I've been duped again. The car is totally out of gas. The needle is deep in the empty zone. It turns out when I drive the car, I do hear a strange noise. It's the noise of the car running out of gas. Our local AAA tow truck driver, he and I are on a first-name basis now. To make things worse, the automobile industry installed a little piece of innovation for the dashboard called the Distance to Empty, DTE. This terrible invention digitally tells my wife how many more miles she can go once the gauge says empty before she needs to ditch her car off to me for a run to the gas station. She has carefully calculated exactly how many more trips to work she can take before she runs out of gas. What she has failed to calculate is the 2-mile trip from our house to the gas station, when I have to drive the car with my fingers crossed, hoping to make it. This is usually when the gas gauge is totally buried in the E, the fuel light is on, and the DTE says 0 miles. I keep waiting for the car to change the letters DTE on the dashboard to GFL for good friggin' luck. I was so sick and tired of these super high blood pressure drives at the gas station that I decided to stop fixing this problem for my wife. I thought maybe if she ran out of gas and she was the one who was stranded, then she would learn an important lesson and not do this sort of thing anymore. Personally, I don't play the leave the car out of gas nonsense game. I drive a truck and I keep it filled with gas at all times. I have to keep the tank topped off because the truck is a gas-sucking monster. A monster I try to drive as little as possible to save a few bucks. I actually only own the truck because of race car stuff. Well, race car stuff and, of course, the social norms and gender rules essentially requiring pickup ownership for all real men. And if I didn't own a truck, then how could my brother-in-law borrow it? When there are no races to use the truck for towing, then usually it just sits in our driveway looking tough and manly. Most of the time when we go places, we use my wife's car. She drives a more reasonable means of transportation that gets pretty good gas mileage. Obviously, the mileage is so good, my wife is convinced that it doesn't need gas ever. Her car isn't flashy or fast or fun to drive. It's a Hyundai. Hyundai is the Korean word for toaster oven. Like a good Californian, I try to carpool with some friends to work. I leave my big pickup truck in the driveway and head to my job, saving the environment and my bank account from evils of my gas-guzzling V8 powered truck. My wife doesn't carpool, but we've already established that her car doesn't even use any fuel, just magic rainbows and butterflies. Then last week, I got that phone call that nobody wants to hear. My wife called me and said, "I've been in a car accident." My first concern was the obvious. Was she okay? I could only imagine what her little toaster oven car looked like in a crash. She said she was fine. My next thought was, what happened? Then she told me, "I'm totally okay, but your truck is pretty damaged." My truck? You weren't driving your car? That's when she told me, "No, I was late for work and my car didn't have any gas in it, so instead I took your truck." Well, it turns out, I guess I'm the one who learned a very important lesson. Never leave your wife's car out of gas again. By the way, even if I bought Sarah a Tesla, she probably couldn't be bothered to plug it in.
Okay, patrons, you've been to this bar before. You know it's cocktail hour again. Are we doing shots or what?
Hey, everybody. We're coming to you from Boston, Massachusetts. Wicked smart. Very excited to be here in Boston. It's first time for me. You've been here before, Mrs. Kreider. I have not been here
This is my second time, yeah.
Awesome. So you're going to be my tour guide for the next 3 days. We're going to see the Boston Red Sox. We're going to do a whole bunch of, I know it's going to be shocking here in Boston. We're going to do some drinking.
Yeah, we parked the car.
We did.
It's going to stay parked in the, I don't know how to say garage. It's just going to stay parked while we walk Boston at large.
And I want to go to a Harvard bar.
Oh, then we have to probably get the car or take...
We got to get the car?
Yeah, or we got to take public transportation. You know how we do with that.
Ah, fuck that.
A Harvard bar.
Because you're wicked smart. You like apples?
How you like them apples?
I got a fucking number.
Funny story, though, about Good Will Hunting.
Let's hear it.
Something you don't know.
Oh, shit. I thought I knew everything about Good Will Hunting. I thought I was like the biggest fucking Good Will Hunting fan there is.
It's the reason I became a math teacher.
Really?
No. If I'm telling you something you don't know, it's because I'm lying.
All right. I'm going to take a sip of my drink.
That's not why I became a math teacher, but that's funny.
That is funny. It's wicked funny.
Well, I'm wicked smart.
You are wicked smart. You are definitely wicked smart. We are drinking Screwdrivers. That is 50-50 orange juice because we don't drink the full-blown orange juice. So we're not trying to get fat, yo. And vodka. Tito's vodka tonight.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of this particular drink because as a child, and I mean like way too young to understand these sort of things, I saw a film called Corvette Summer. And it had fucking Luke Skywalker in it, right? Mark Hamill is in a movie about Corvettes, and he's like a kid working at an auto body shop. He gets his car, he fixes it up. His car chases all the stuff. He gets hooked up with this woman of the night who drives a van around. She's a prostitute, and she gives him a drink. Now, he's a high school kid. She gives him a screwdriver. And so, first of all, I was like, I'm into cars and tools, so this fucking drink sounds like a screwdriver. And so, my whole life, I wanted to be cool enough and old enough to drink a screwdriver. I also wanted to have sex with a prostitute in a van on the house because she felt bad for Mark Hamill because his Corvette got stolen. And it wasn't even his Corvette. It was the school's Corvette. But anyways, she gave him one on the house. So I didn't really know what that meant.
Jesus.
My parents had to explain to me like, oh, that means it's free. She gave him one for free. It's a fucking really, really strange story. This is 70s cinema. That has nothing to do with our story today, except that it's about cars. Which is,
well,
go ahead. I feel like I'm talking too much about prostitutes.
Corvette Summer. Oh, yeah. Baby, you've been talking too much about Corvette Summer since the day I met you.
There's certain films that have shaped me.
Have you seen that movie Corvette Summer with Luke Skywalker? I'm like, I have not, sir. And to this day, I still have not seen it. I don't think I'm ever going to see it.
Are you telling me that you haven't seen it really?
I haven't seen it.
I've watched it. I mean, I made our kids watch it.
Oh, so the same trauma
I wanted to teach them about
that was inflicted on you watching it. You put it on our fucking kids.
I want the kids to understand, like, look, when you're climbing in a van with a woman and she's like, you get one on the house, like, good news, it's free.
Wow. I didn't know you were watching that shit with our kids. But you just told the story about like you were way too young to see it.
Yeah, I was like really young. I waited till our kids were at least like 11.
Like double digits.
Yeah, I mean, it was a solid 11 before I said, you're going to watch this fucking movie. It's so awesome.
You did that with Fast Times too.
Yeah, but I think that was a good idea. It scared the kids.
I was like randomly, at a night class or something like that, like, trying to get my college degree, be a working mom, break from the stay-at-home mom that I was. And I'm like, okay, is this going to work?
You fucked up. You left the kids unsupervised with me.
Well, I mean, they were supervised by their own fucking father.
Who has a strange sense of what children should see in the movies.
Like, we watched Fast Times at Ridgemont High. I'm like, oh, it was on TV? Because TV edits all the nasty shit out and just has the funny Spicoli. And you're like, no. I'm not going to show them that fucking edited down PG version of TV.
They need to see Jennifer Jason Leigh full frontal.
Yeah.
She loses her virginity in a fucking baseball dugout.
It was awful.
To an older dude, and she was like a kid.
Yeah, she got pregnant. It's just dark and sad.
I was trying to scare our kids. You know what our kids did not get? Pregnant in high school. Because I showed them fucking Fast Times at Ridgemont High at a very formidable age. You're welcome.
Jesus. So anyways, you wanted to screw a prostitute and have her give you one on the house.
While drinking a screwdriver.
I was maybe 12 when I saw the classic, everybody fucking loves it, rom-com called Pretty Woman. And I wanted to be a prostitute.
Everybody wanted to be a prostitute after Pretty Woman.
Yeah, so I mean, it works out.
A knight in shining armor in a white limousine is going to come down and rescue you from your life of
and I get
crack
to
and crime and violence.
Shop like down in Beverly Hills, Rodeo Drive, and I'm going to be like super charming and, compared to all these like stiff upper crust women, I'm going to like bring some life to Rodeo Drive and, the crusty old hotel concierge is going to like me. Everyone's going to like me except for George Costanza. He's going to try to rape me, and that's
very, very different role for old George Costanza.
That's going to suck. But in the end, I don't know, she like gives it to him on the house. I'm just saying.
This one's on the house.
You wanted to have sex with a prostitute in a van. I wanted to be a prostitute on Rodeo Drive, and look at how we ended up together.
I know. You didn't even have a van.
I know.
It's amazing.
And you've never taken me shopping on Rodeo Drive.
And you never given me one on the house. Everything comes with fucking strings attached.
Well, that's the real world.
Well, speaking of that, strings attached. This story actually deals with that. So this is a story called Gas in the Tank, published November 1st, 2020 in The Wheel. This is part of the Confessions of a Cone Slayer series. This is about me doing a special thing for you, which is I know you don't like getting gas. So when your car is out of gas, I take the time to go out and fill it up for you. And the magic leprechauns just keep the magic alive and your car is always full of gas. And all I ask back is that maybe it not be all the way out of gas when I get it. I heard a quote, and I wish I knew where I got it from so I can give proper credit. It said, "A man's job is to make sure his woman does not need another man."
Yeah, that's your favorite.
I live by that.
Yeah, you do.
I live by that. I want to make sure that I'm taking care of the things you need taken care of so you don't find a firefighter to take care of them for you. So one of those things is filling your car with gas.
Yeah, because I hate getting gas.
I know.
Okay, so.
I don't mind. I actually worked at the gas station as a kid. I worked at Joe's Chevron.
Me running the gas gauge down to 0 and then some. The distance to empty.
Yep.
Not the gauge. The gauge is like at empty. And then the distance to empty tells you like, no, keep going. You still have like 49 miles.
Keep on. How far can we go?
Because I used to 49 miles, 48, 47. Like when it got to 2, I was like, okay, time to get gas. But the reason that I let it to go to 0 and beyond is 100% your fault.
My fault. How was that?
I told you I was going to surprise you with this.
Oh, you are surprising me. Lay it on me.
Okay, so you're a young racer and you have this. At this point, he's not like really a friend. He's just sort of like an acquaintance that you met out at the track, and he was doing what you wanted to do, Dave Schatz. You're just like, Dave Schatz.
He's the man. He's so fucking good. He's so fast.
Oh my God. He wants to race my car. I mean, now we're friends with him, and now we know like Dave Schatz is like, I say that there's like insane robo racing Rob. Dave Schatz is like, I'm going to turn that up. I'm going to triple down on that. Not even
11.
Down. Yeah, I'm going to 11. I'm going to take Rob, and I'm going to be 1,000 times more insane than he is.
And he's won more national championships than I have. So there's that.
And then he's like, yeah, I want to race your car. And like I said, now we know he'll race anybody's fucking car off the goddamn street. He'll race that freaking van that the prostitute is in. Like, he'll just do it, But at the time, you were just like, this celebrity wants to race my Mustang. I've arrived because this guy's going to come and he's going to beat me in my own car, in my Mustang. But it's okay because he's like this racing.
But the car will be faster
celebrity.
After he's done playing with it because he's really good at setup.
So he comes into town, the celebrity. And I don't know him from any Tom, Dick, or Harry off the street. I just know like my husband was racing again all day, and now I got this like stranger staying at my house. You guys come home and you're like, let's go out to dinner. So, okay, we all get into the truck and we're going to go to dinner, and Dave sits in the front seat. God, I have so many stories where I'm getting the shaft because Dave is sitting in the front seat. Like, I'm driving the parts car because Dave is comfortably sitting in the front seat of the motorhome.
Yeah.
I'm in the back seat of the truck. So
Dave's my man.
We get in the truck. I'm in the back seat with the kids. Which, okay, makes sense because I'm going to sit in the back seat with the kids. I'm not going to let the strange man sit with my kids in the back seat. And we go around the corner to Plaza Ventana, which we called Square Window.
Yeah.
Do you remember this?
No, I remember going to Tahoe Joe's with Dave, but that was a different trip, different race.
Okay, no, this is like you took the whole family. Dave is in it with the whole family.
Got it.
We get in the truck. We're going around the corner, and the truck is like distance to empty, 1. And you're like,
God damn it, Sarah, like, would it kill you to get some gas? And I think you're embarrassed because it's like you're racing celebrity hero friend and you just want to go to Plaza Ventana and, we don't have enough gas to get there. And Dave, who's like your hero, who knows so much about cars.
He does know a shitload about cars.
He's like, no, you got like 20 more miles. You're good. And you're just looking at him. You're looking at me. No,
I'm looking at him like, asshole.
We gotta go. We gotta go
Shut
get
the
some
fuck
gas.
up. Don't tell her this.
So then it clicks down to 0. And even I'm going to acquiesce and say, okay, it's at 0. Plaza Ventana is 2 miles from our house, and we only have 0 miles. So let's get some gas. And Dave, who by your account is the most knowledgeable person in the truck about cars,
he is.
How they function. And I know Dave now, and I know he doesn't give a fuck if the truck runs out of gas.
Oh, he doesn't
care.
He's supposed to go to dinner as quick as he can.
He just wants to go to dinner as quick as he can.
We got to get back to the racetrack.
Yeah.
We ain't got time for this shit.
Like, tomorrow, Sarah, if it runs out of gas because I gave you some bullshit information.
That'll be Rob's problem when I'm
the
fucking back in Arizona.
The digital display and a Dodge truck. Yeah, it won't be my fucking problem. But
Nope.
he says, that's just a suggestion. You got like 20 more miles. And so I'm like, hey, you brought him into my world. You brought him into my house.
You brought him in our life.
You said he's the most knowledgeable fucking guy. So when it says 0, I know. And Dave Schatz knows I got 20 more fucking miles to go. And that's what I do. So your fault.
Problem is that then you're sort of counting the miles on your own. You're like, well, what was the odometer at that point? Sometimes you have the trip meter, sometimes you don't. There's a lot of like unknown shit going on in regards to this final 20 miles. And that's where things get dicey.
Yeah.
And I land in your car. I don't know you've hit the trip button.
Well, and we both
or how
know
many miles have gone in.
how efficient I am.
Right. So I get in the car. I'm like, it's at 0. It's buried in the fucking red and E. It's at 0. And I'm like, okay, so do I have 19 miles left or 19 feet left? Like, how much farther is this going to fucking get me so I can get to a gas station? Now it's not a big deal because where we live now, right on the corner from a Chevron, super convenient. But back in the day, our old house, we were nowhere near a gas station. It sucked. I had some very stressful drives.
But also, it got harder when our 2 kids started driving. Because they would they had their own cars, but every once in a while, they want to take mom's car because they want more passengers or whatever. So every once in a while, they'd hop in my car. And they would screw up because they're not going to get gas.
No one gets gas except for me.
I've got a pretty good count going. I'm at, 0, and I know I can go all the way down to -20 because of what Dave Schatz told me. So I know I'm at like a solid 17. I'm good to go. But now,
no problemas.
The kids borrowed the car. They jumped in the car. They went over to
just
Dutch
a quick
Brothers.
Yeah, I was say Dutch Bros and Taco Bell.
So then I don't know where the count is. They take it on 0. They bring it back on 0. They don't give a shit. Now it's a crapshoot. Whoever gets in the car, who's going to run out of gas? Thankfully, you get in and you get us gas.
I do. And sometimes, though, I'm not in the mood. I'm like, God damn it. Fucking would it kill her not to run down to 0,000,000? So, one day I'm like, fuck it. I'm not doing it. I'm not filling her fucking car up. She can go to work and run out of fucking gas for all I give a shit. And then you said, oh, I'm out of gas. I'll just take the truck. And then you get in a fucking car accident and my truck gets wrecked and your car is fine.
Yeah, sorry.
Well, it's my fault.
It wasn't my fault.
And I should have absolutely gotten your car with gas, and then my truck wouldn't have gotten wrecked.
That car accident, scared me. I didn't drive that way to work again.
Good.
I had, PTSD from, that road. I wouldn't drive down that road to get to work for, the longest time because it scared me. It wasn't my fault.
It was not your fault.
Yeah, you
Absolutely
made it
not.
sound like...
No, you were not at fault for the car accident. It was not your fault. You did everything right. And could have been a lot worse because the way you got hit, you went in the opposing lane. Luckily, nobody else was there to take you out head on.
Yeah,
You could have been
scary.
seriously injured. So I'm glad you weren't. They fixed the truck. And then we later blew that truck up, towing something, race car related. And then
No, we didn't. I was not a part of that.
We ultimately took that car to a dealership and traded it in. And that was an awkward situation where we barely got it in. And I cleared the code on the OBD2 reader that I have, like any good race car driver has. And then we traded that car in. They forgot to inspect it. And then after all the paperwork assigned, everything was done. I'll let you tell this part of the story.
They said...
It was all done. They owned that truck and I owned a car and we were walking out the door.
It was a trade-in. And they said, it's all in working order, right? And you looked at them and you said... I drove it here, didn't I? And you did. To your credit, you did drive it there.
And it was a question on a question. They said, it's all in working order. And I asked another question. I said, I drove it here, didn't I?
Which we know anytime someone answers the question with a question, they're lying or
Yes.
they're deflecting. But
Yes.
apparently the car dealers at that particular dealership did not have the same interrogation training that you had. So they didn't know that. So when you were like, I drove it here, didn't I? I mean, I'm not good at like deception or trickery. So I was like hiding under the table and I was like, oh God, we're done. They see through us.
This is where the FBI comes and gets us. We're going to jail.
Because not only did you, when you're like, I drove it here, didn't I? You drove it like with the windows down because you had to like hear the engine. I can't remember why the windows had to be down. It had to do with something with like you had to hear the engine or the air conditioning. It couldn't do the air conditioning and run the engine at the same time or something. I don't know. And then we had someone follow us because you were afraid it was going to break down. Like
It wasn't going to make it.
we basically willed it there.
And they gave us like $12,000 trading for that fucking truck. It was so fucked up, too. And the crazy part was I cleared the code, the OBD2 reader. I stuffed the OBD2 reader in your purse. So you're sitting there with like the evidence in your purse that I cleared a code.
Obviously, I was not aware of that.
You don't remember this part?
Well, you probably didn't tell me that because you know how
You're a
I
bad
am.
poker
I'm a
player.
bad, exactly.
You can't. I'm like, yeah, don't worry about this. Just, could you hold this for me? Because I don't want to walk in there dangling my, OB2 reader. I'm like, hey, don't worry about this in my hand. I didn't just clear a bunch of fucking clothes because that fucking engine's about to blow up.
That makes me think of when we sold the Mustang to CarMax. Do you remember this?
Fucking Gus. Cost me a bunch of money. When you say sold to CarMax, we didn't sell to CarMax.
Oh, they didn't even take it.
They said absolutely not.
So
Get it out of here.
you take a Mustang that you and Dave Schatz had beat the shit out of into
We raced and Dave Schatz won the Pro Solo Championship in that car.
into CarMax, and same thing. They're like, it's all in working order, and you're like, I drove it here, didn't I? Like, it's a Mustang, it's great. And then they went out and they inspected it.
This is a 2001 limited edition Bullet Mustang, number 3, 4. What was my number?
I don't remember.
They only made 5,000 of them. I owned one of 700 blue ones, and it was like 3493, I think was my serial number.
Who bought it for you?
You did. It was awesome.
So the guy goes out to inspect it to get like the trade-in value or whatever.
They put it on the lift. Hey, everybody needs to know this. CarMax really fucking takes their inspections very seriously.
And he comes back and he says, yeah, it's bizarre. Like someone drilled holes in the bottom of it. Like there's holes in the frame. Like what's that all about? And you're like,
And Gus is like 8 years old.
yeah. And you're like, I don't know. And then Gus is like 8 years old, bless his heart. And he's like, well, yeah, because my daddy raced in it.
So he just looked at the guy and goes, it's a race car.
And then the guy was like,
That's what I
thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Don't let the door hit you on the way out. And then we got blacklisted from CarMax.
I looked at Gus. I'm like, this little fuck. You cost me like $15,000, man. God damn it.
Nah, they weren't going to take it.
Limited edition hot rod car. That car was fucking built too.
Not only did Dave Schatz screw you when he came into our lives and told me
That you could run a car out of
that I
gas.
could
the
run a
rest of
car
your
out
life.
of gas.
Yeah.
he also screwed me a little bit.
Is this about Daytona?
Yes, that fucker. Same trip.
He knows a lot about cars. He even knows about car games.
Same. And Plaza Ventana is literally is like 4 minutes from our house. I don't know how this guy could put such an impact on our lives forever in a 4-minute car trip. But he is very charismatic.
Yeah, he is charismatic.
Yeah, so there's a little arcade game called Daytona. I don't know if you guys are all familiar with it or not, but
Awesome racing game.
you sit in like a racing seat and you race. And if you sit right next to each other and you both put your quarters in the game at the same time, you can race each other. So we started playing Daytona on our honeymoon, probably.
Yeah, all the time.
All the time. We always play Daytona. Rob always beats me. Okay, go figure, because he's the race car driver and I'm not. But then Daytona would do this thing called fastest lap. So Rob would beat me, but I would always get the fastest lap. Like no matter what, I would have one good lap. He beats me overall.
It would always frustrate me because I'm like, how in the fuck is that even possible? You basically just drove Daytona by just grinding the right side of the car down into the wall. You just bashed into the wall, went through the grass. You were just a fucking crash fest. I would race like a totally serious person. I would kick your ass. And it's like, fast lap, Sarah. I'm like, what the fuck? And you were like,
that was like
fastest lap.
Yeah,
That was your thing.
That was my thing, like fastest lap. So somehow on the way to Square Window, something about Daytona comes up and I say, but I always get fastest lap.
Yeah.
And then that's when Dave Schatz just frickin' burst in my bubble, man. He's like, the loser always gets fastest lap. That keeps you interested, keeps you wanting to play, keeps the game going.
No, he says basically the car in last place, they speed it up so it can catch up with the leader. So basically, you're always going to get fastest lap if you're getting beat.
Yeah, that was the day that we never raced Daytona again.
If you want to find out why did this come up, I can guess this. Dave and I probably raced that day in the Mustang. You probably said, who got the fastest lap today? And I said, Dave Dave did. He beat me. And you're like, oh, we both have that in common because I get fastest lap in Daytona.
Oh, maybe.
Trying to make me feel like a piece of shit.
Maybe.
And then Dave says, well, that's not that big a deal because Daytona is designed that way.
The loser always gets fastest lap.
Yeah. Loser.
So we don't play it anymore.
Loser.
Yeah.
Well, as we have learned today, you like to run vehicles out of ethanol, and I just ran this cup out of alcohol. So let's go hit Boston and get some fucking drinks. Mm-hmm. All right. Cheers.
Cheers.
And that was Last Call. You did it. You survived an episode of Stories and Cocktails. But did Rob or Sarah's liver survive the show? I don't know. Tune into the next episode to find out, to enjoy some more stories and some more cocktails. By the way, if you want to support the debauchery of the show, then buy the host their next round by Venmoing a couple of gold doubloons at Stories and Cocktails. Back in the day, a gold doubloon was only $4 Spanish. Who knew? Well, folks, I'll be right here behind the bar, cleaning the glassware and awaiting your return to the Stories and Cocktails podcast. Cheerio, friends.
If you enjoy hearing Rob Kreider's different humor columns here on the Stories and Cocktails podcast, then I promise you will love his novel, Cadet Blues. Cadet Blues is Rob's hilarious tell-all about desperately trying to survive the shock and awe boot camp-style training at the California Highway Patrol Academy. People from all different walks of life have come to love this book because Cadet Blues is simply a crazy good read. Heartfelt, inspiring, and damn funny. It's available in paperback through Amazon, eBay, or cadetblues.com, where you can get free shipping and a personalized autographed book. Or you can download a digital copy of Cadet Blues from Amazon Kindle, Barnes & Noble Nook, or Apple iBooks. Do yourself a favor and check out the novel, Cadet Blues.